We are joined by the legend himself, Brian Baldinger. Baldy, what is going on? You got a Baldy shirt.
That's how I do. I'm walking into NovaCare with the Eagles minicamp here today with the Baldy's Breakdown shirt, just letting everybody know that, I'm here. I'm looking to break some things down, seeing what they're going to do different this year.
Uh-oh, the sheriff's on campus now. That's a little intimidating for the Eagles. After that, are these public shirts? Can we get ourselves some Baldy's Breakdown?
They will soon be, Zach. They're not right now. They're in the process of being made and setting up a shop, but they will be. We'll be up and running like in the next month for sure.
Oh, I love it. Well, we're definitely going to get our hands on those. All right, so Baldy, we're talking today about Sean Payton yesterday. Talked about some similarities between Drew Brees and Bo Nix. Is that just something that people have grasped onto because of the Sean Payton connection, or are there actually similarities between Bo Nix and Drew Brees?
Well, I think Drew played a lot of games at Purdue. Bo Nix played a lot of games at Auburn and Oregon. I think that's, they played a lot of football in college. But I think what Sean's referring to is just the how quick he's making these decisions right now and, getting the ball out of his hands quickly. And that was a problem last year. That was a problem early on in the offense, just getting the ball out. But I think I'm not going to go crazy with, making any comparisons, obviously. Nobody wants to do that. But there's things that you see day to day, just the quickness of decision-making, because your speed of your decision-making is going to determine if a team blitzes you, if they don't blitz you, route combinations, all those kind of things. If you can see it quick and beat it quick, you have a much better chance of staying on schedule in this business right now. And I think what Sean said yesterday, it opened my eyes. I don't think he's just throwing out bouquets just to throw out bouquets. That wouldn't serve anybody good. I mean, if there's criticism to be made, you might not want to publicly air that right now. It's early. But when he's doing something good, I think Sean wants to let everybody know that this guy is, he's ahead of schedule right now.
With, Bo Nix's progression and him trying to be, I guess everybody wants him to be like Drew Brees. I feel like that's a tall task. Like you said, I hate the comparisons because he has such an amazing career and has done so much. I feel like for me, my question is, how do we kind of navigate all these comparisons? Because I feel like Drew did a lot of stuff at the line before the play even snapped that made him successful. How do we see when, I guess, Bo is able to pick that up?
Well, I think you're still a ways away from being able to do all those things. I mean, I know Drew was burning midnight oil late in meetings on Monday, Tuesday night, how to figure out how to block Aaron Donald or whatever it was. I mean, he was involved in a lot of those sessions. That's a lot to ask for any rookie right now. You're trying to, listen to the play, get the play out of your mouth, make sure everybody knows what they're doing. If there's if there's some sort of audible at the line, get into that. When you start, running the run game the way Drew did, that's a lot. That's down the road, but it's not to say that he can't do some of that right now. Just looking at a light box, looking at personnel against your personnel and seeing things. Like, part of that is playing a lot of college football and, in a lot of different circumstances and different schemes. And so I think some of that carries over, but if he can do some of that stuff now, I mean, he's just ahead of the game, period.
What is the big difference in terms of the pre-snap reads in the Oregon offense, I guess, in particular, versus what the Broncos do? Like, are there just more disguised blitzes? Is it this disguised coverages? Like, what is the learning curve there? What do you have to tackle?
Well, I mean, in college, everybody's playing some version of a 3-3 double cloud, 3 defensive linemen, outside linebackers walked away to cover the spread. I mean, you're not getting Micah Parsons coming at you. You're not seeing Joey Bosa, every down, every time you drop back. You're varying the number of type of sets. I mean, the Eagles here just for the first time in 10 years are putting in a quick set. I mean, it's not even a 3-step drop. And, like a lot of colleges don't have that. A lot of teams don't have that. So you got 3-step, 5-step, 7-step drops. You got play action passes. The run game is completely different in the pros than it is in college. Very little power type plays, very, very little 2 tight end blocking schemes in college. It's basically a completely different offense. at the college level than it is at the NFL level. So everything from terminology to formations to motions, pre-snap shifts and motions, it's quite a bit different from basically in college. You're looking over the sideline. Okay, what defense are they in? Here's the play. And you just call the play. There's very little done at the line of scrimmage at the college game.
Baldy, I want to turn this conversation a little bit, actually a lot. You're out at Eagles camp right now, and the Eagles were linked with Justin Simmons a lot. Maybe it was just by fans doing it, but it seemed like it made a lot of sense. What's going on with Justin Simmons? Now he's been on the market for a couple of months. What do you think ends up happening? Where does he go?
Well, I mean, one of the connections there is Vic Fangio is here, coach of the defense of Philadelphia. Obviously, he was his head coach for a couple of years in Denver. So, I mean, there's a real familiarity there with what he can do. Safety is a weakness. So it was a very weak position for the Eagles last year. They had a hard time keeping guys safety. They traded for Kevin Byard halfway through the season. It didn't really work out. Some of the young guys couldn't stay healthy. Sidney Brown was a rookie, couldn't stay healthy. So there's interest for sure. But I just think it's probably what Justin Simmons feels like he's worth. And maybe the longer he waits, maybe the market dries up, but maybe somebody, not necessarily is desperate, somebody says, we need a Pro Bowl caliber safety right here, and we're willing to pay X amount of dollars to get him. And so I think that's a big part of it right now. I know they're interested in Miami in him. I've heard those conversations, certainly in Philadelphia. The Giants have a very, very young secondary. They lost Xavier McKinney. I think he's been linked to New York just because of how young they are at that position and inexperienced. And he makes any secondary better the day he walks in the building.
Well, I'll keep talking about safety since we're on the safety topic. I want to talk about the Broncos' two safeties kind of battling for a spot, PJ Locke and Caden Stearns. In your opinion, who do you feel like would be the better fit kind of to replace Justin Simmons? And then also, have you ever heard of a safety rotation? I think Hank has been pushing for one for a couple of weeks now to have those two guys kind of rotating in and out of the games. What do you think?
Well, when PJ went in there, when I think Kareem got, suspended last year, it looked like it was an upgrade, to be honest with you, the way that he played. I mean, taking the ball away, key stops. In that 5-game stretch, I think PJ was on the field quite a bit. I think he finished out a game with an interception to end it, if my memory serves me correct.
Packers, yep.
So, I mean, that's what you're looking for from the safety. It's more than just making tackles. You've got to impact the game. The good safeties in this business take it away. They're either forcing fumbles, fumble recoveries, or interceptions, or passes defense. I mean, you got to fill up a stat sheet if you're going to be a safety. And I thought PJ did that last year. Nothing against Caden. Caden did some good things too. But that's what you're looking for. You're looking for takeaways right now at the safety position. You're the last line of defense. You see the ball in the air for the longest period of time. How you make a break on the ball, how you read the formations and the route combinations coming at you can give you a jump on some of those type of plays.
I'm curious, just looking at PJ Locke in particular, he starts out as an undrafted guy with a tiny signing bonus, winds up going to the practice squad, then becomes a special teamer for a few years, and then finally gets an opportunity last year and looks like a starter right now. Is there anybody else on the Broncos roster who you look at and say they could kind of follow that path and maybe develop into being that guy?
Well, I mean, Jaleel kind of did that last year at running back, but their nickel corner last year did that, and he became a really valuable member of that secondary last year. And that's the path he took, from undrafted to practice squad to, becoming a starter and an impactful starter. So there's guys on that roster, and, Sean Payton doesn't care where you came from, what round you got drafted in, or how you got there. Long history. Marquez, Colston was a 7th-round pick out of Hofstra for Sean in New Orleans. And all he did was have more catches in his first 2 years in the NFL than any other receiver in history. So and you saw what Jaleel did at running back last year when he got some opportunities. Like, he's going to put guys out there. Pierre Thomas was an undrafted running back, that they got, I think, from Chicago. I mean, he started a Super Bowl game for him, undrafted player. So he doesn't really care where you come from. He's looking for production. And That's a great thing for young players that might not have been drafted or nobody knows about or are unsung. You're going to get, if you show up in practice and you do the things necessary to get on the field, you're going to get opportunities.
Baldy, when we look for production, we turn to you. You're always delivering. Thank you so much for the insight. And tell Vic Fangio, Todd Davis, his former player, says hi when you're out there.
I'm going to go see Vic right now, and I love him. No, Todd, you got it.
Right on. Thanks, Baldy. Have a great one.
See you.
Man, the legend, Baldy himself. It's been an interesting couple of years for Vic, especially leaving Miami. When Vic left here, I think a lot of players were very nice about him leaving, but not in Miami. But since Vic's left Miami, so many players have come out and made it very clear how they felt about playing for Vic.
Yes, that is a true statement.
It's going to be interesting what happens there, because from like an outside perspective, and obviously Vic is a great defensive mind, but from an outside perspective, people think that, man, he's just going to take that Eagles defense to the next level, when, I mean, they've had a really good defense in the past and they're changing a lot there. So the Eagles are a very interesting team, especially just they were 11-1 last year.
Yep.
And then they fell off a cliff. And now there's like questions on if Jalen Hurts is the leader of the team. Can he get them back, especially without Jason Kelce? So a lot for Baldy to see there, and some great insight from Baldy too.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, he likes PJ Locke.
Yep.
Who doesn't? Who, by the time you guys are watching this, we've talked all about. So I want to share my thoughts. Yeah, Bo Nix, Drew Brees. We love putting those two in the same sentence, and he gave his thoughts. Yeah, good stuff.
And it'll be interesting to see where Justin Simmons lands.
Yes, that too.
That's maybe something that we'll have a conversation about coming up in a couple of weeks when we hit the true off season, where there's no OTAs, no mandatory minicamp to talk about. But thank you all so much for tuning in with us today. And